Since we started here on the Trio Woe Show, the thing that everyone always talks about is when is WWE going to make the next star? Tonight's pay-per-view just proved they're not ready to do that. But it also proved that they have some guys who, when the time comes, can carry a pay-per-view, because tonight's card was carried by the lower card. Starts off, sorry, starts off with the three-way tag match. Pre-show doesn't matter. Standout one. Starts off with the three-way match with the Usos, the Shield, and whatever they're calling Goldust and Cody Rhodes. They're probably calling them Goldust and Cody Rhodes because they're so great. Doesn't matter what they call them. That match, I'll give it 4.5 stars out of 5. I'm going to do the star rating system because I don't care about trying to tell you guys what's good and what's not good. Basically, it's a scale of 1 to 10, and this was a 9. But I'll give it the star rating because that's what wrestling fans do, is they give stuff star ratings. And that's what I'm about. Cody Rhodes won via Crossroads on Seth Rollins. It went back and forth, and it had the typical crash-out ending that maybe hurts the end of the card, because you can't do that every single. Let me turn this off. You can't do that every single match on the pay-per-view, but for this one they did, and maybe that's why the rest of the card, the stuff when you started to go down the card, sucked. But man, sorry, blown up. Regardless, if you were to watch any match from this card and you haven't seen any of it, I would watch this one first because it was the first match, and I would watch it first because it's the one that you need to see. It's a must-see match. The crowd was hot. I was hot. It was great. Next up, The Miz came out and called out the Wyatt family, which the Wyatt family and The Miz don't get along all that well. Miz is not cleared to have a match, so it was a fight. The family beat up Miz. Kane returned, kicked the Wyatt family out of the ring, and also laid out the Miz. So what's next for Kane, we'll see. I was happy Kane was back. I popped. It was nice. You knew it was coming. Like, the crowd was chanting, "We want Kane." Everyone knew Kane was going to come back at some point for his revenge. Let's just plant the seeds there. But let's roll this out. Let's see where this goes. Let's do something with it. After that, we had Fandango and Summer Rae take on Great Khali and Natalya. And Summer Rae and Natalya were killing it. Like, not Divas match killing it, like straight up match killing it. Like, it was a Great Khali and all, and Fandango is solid, but he's not great. But I was entirely hoping that they would just tag in Summer Rae and Natalya and let them go at it. And Summer Rae picked up that roll-up win, so I'm guessing this is going to continue and go forth, which is not the worst thing in the world, because Summer Rae and Fandango aren't getting heel heat, but no one really is nowadays, because they're above that. They're above making things simple and easy to understand. There's nuances in WWE now. Just because you don't like someone doesn't mean you boo them. No, silence is the new boo. Just ask Alberto Del Rio fans, but that comes up later. I'll give this match 2 3/4 stars out of 5, which actually holds up pretty solid. Which is I get okay. You'll see more later on with my stars. Next up, Big E Langston versus Dean Ambrose in a match that was very good as well, but the ending held it back from being better than as good as it could have been. But that's a good thing, because that means the ending set up for more matches down the road. Big E Langston beat Dean Ambrose via countout after he speared him through the ropes, and then got back in the ring before Dean Ambrose got counted out. Very solid. I'll give this match 3 3/4 stars out of 5. Like I said, though, the countout finish and then Big E laying out Ambrose and holding up the belt is just going to carry it forward more, but it's not exactly going to. That's not going to be a match that's like, wow, I got to watch that again, because that had great importance. Because it wasn't, at the end of the day, all that important. It just planted some seeds. But WWE, because they don't harvest those seeds ever. Besides with the Cody Rhodes storyline, they got that one good. If they hit on Biggie Langston, they're looking at another big star that they can continue to throw away for guys who they won't think are the big stars. Speaking of that, CM Punk takes down the Ryback, who is dead now. The Ryback, I'm sorry, you try hard. You probably watch our show because you seem like the kind of guy who would. You gave me that weird look at a house show one time. That was cool, but weird at the same time. Hurt my dad's shins, but you don't. You don't have. There's no spot for anyone like Ryback, who doesn't move, who doesn't wrestle like a power wrestler does, because he's too short. He's not big enough to move as slow and as lumbersome as he does. Throwing it entirely out there. There's no finesse. And that's the thing that with the big wrestlers that people always miss on. It's like you can't just be, boom, yeah, I'm going to get over because Goldberg got over doing power moves. Kevin Nash got over doing power moves. Those guys can move around a ring back in the day. Razor Ramon was great in the ring. Now, for some reason, CM Punk keeps doing all this storyline stuff with Heyman and Ryback, but hopefully it all came to an end when he GTS Paul Heyman on top of the cell at the end of the match. I'll give this 3.25 stars out of 5, less than the match before, just because CM Punk and Ryback have no chemistry in the ring, and it's not exactly the best matchup altogether. And the Heyman thing was stupid, and I don't like the storyline at all. And the storyline, I'm just happy it's over. There's no payoff to see it. There's no when Cody Rhodes and Goldust got their jobs back, and when they won the tag belts, I was elated. Now, when CM Punk beat Ryback, I was relieved. I should not be relieved as a wrestling fan. I should be pumped. I'm relieved because finally CM Punk can go back and do stuff that matters. He's Matt Damon. He doesn't need to be doing these crappy movies. He needs to be doing great movies. But that's just my word. Hopefully, they just go away for a little bit. Next up, we had Los Matadores against the Real Americans. Real Americans got USA chance, We the People chance, and they counted along with Antonio Cesaro's big spin. Sorry, Cesaro swing. So maybe they're turning face? Nah. We like them, so let's give it the push to Los Matadores, who can't wrestle to save their lives, with El Torito, though, who is pretty awesome. But there is something about Los Matadores that does not really give me any sort of excitement as a wrestling fan. It's weird to say that, but watching, they're supposed to be the guys who we cheer for and all that stuff. It just seems tacky. It seems like they just are trying to do basic moves and say "Olay," hope people chant along with them, not realizing that if they were doing good stuff and then they did that every now and again, the people would do it regardless. Kind of like something that I've seen in the past that worked out really good. But I don't know, it just seems like that's slipping me. But it can't all be Daniel Bryan. But even then, they don't want Daniel Bryan. So that's a good thing. El Torito is going to be what carries them and what keeps these guys in there. But man, what are they going to do with Antonio Cesaro, who is great? Jack Swagger is getting better. I mean, he's still all right. He's not great. And Los Matadores, no. Nope. Counting them out entirely at this point. They're not getting reaction, first off. You want these guys to get, oh man, they're going to be the next big thing. We'll give them 4 weeks of vignettes and we'll give them a bunch of matches and stuff. We'll give them a great gimmick. We'll give them a little bowl. We'll give them the whole work. And people still don't care. Maybe because it's not as much about that in 2013. It's about what you can bring to the table. Or maybe we all were intrigued at one point, and then we realized that there was going to be nothing to go with it because it's no fun watching them wrestle. If you have more fun watching the entrance in the wrestling match, that's not a good sign. Next up, we have the return of the elbowed one John Cena against Alberto Del Rio. Now, this match has some significance because it's Cena's return, and it has a little bit of psychology with the elbow and the work in the arm. But this crowd was not nice to John Cena during the match, and Cena sucks. It should be Shannon Del Rio sucks, but it's not even worth the time, worth the breath to do that. He's not good at all. Sorry. Back to the star things. Los Matadores and El Torito got one star and then another half a star, and then Cena and Del Rio got 2 stars because this match was a steaming pile of crap with a guy in there who everyone cares about. Sounds familiar, but there was no sort of personal reason why these two were fighting. John Cena gets the win, gets the title because he's not going to come back and lose. Maybe it's a filler thing, but so was Big E Langston beating Ambrose via countout. That was a filler thing to when they can actually give Big E the blow off. This was the blow off, I'm guessing, and the blow off where there's no build sucks. And this match itself sucked. Throwing it entirely out there. You can sit there and say, oh, the moves weren't bad. Oh, they were reacting fine. Oh. No, when you have a guy who's John Cena who's supposed to be the man, you should be the man and not put up stuff like this. You're held to a higher standard because you've shown you can go to a higher standard. Maybe if you couldn't do that, you shouldn't have came back so fast. Just saying. After that, AJ makes Bree tap out in a match that was killed by the ridiculousness of the previous match's finish, which had like 5 or 6 almost AAs that didn't happen. And this one got a star and then a half a star, which is the same as Los Matadores. Because when they were going, it was all right. I think Bree needs to scale back the offense a little bit, and AJ needs to pick up more if they're going to do the whole heel-face dynamic. Because when that face is hitting all the moves, you're just like, yeah, they're beating them up. Awesome. Yeah, this is what I thought was going to happen. And then you're taken aback when it doesn't happen. Then you're not like, oh, come on. You're not rooting for anything. You're more back, and you're forward and back, and there's not ever a big swing in momentum to where you're like, oh, no. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. But maybe that's a good thing sometimes. Because who wants to watch wrestling product that makes you feel like you had a good time watching it? Not this guy. Not this guy. They'll continue this feud because it had somewhat of a dusty finish. And because Bree's over. My little sister, who is a perfect example of the new fan of WWE, watches Total Divas and also now watches Brie Bella matches because she's seen her on TV. So got some new fans, WWE. Way to make them totally invested in the product with easy to follow product that's really not that complex and doesn't have a bunch of nuances and doesn't have a bunch of people fighting for the main spot and a bunch of insider stuff going on at the same time. Oh wait, you have all of that in this last match where Daniel Bryan faced off with Randy Orton in what was a great match until we got to the ending. And to the ending we got the same stuff we've seen the past 2. Which sucks because at no point there have only been 2 pay-per-view matches before this. This is the 3rd one between them. So at some point you think you're going to get the clean payoff, or beforehand you're going to see it somewhat be about like somebody is clearly above the other ones. The other one's trying to prove that they're with them. No. Basically, what has happened so far is Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton have done this. While everyone else involved, the Big Show and Triple H, have done this. This is them smashing down and making sure that these 2 guys who are killing it out there can never get a proper reaction at the end of a match, because every match has to end the way that WCW matches end, because that was a great business model for them. No. So after everyone catches Daniel Bryan's finisher, he doesn't get the pinfall. Randy Orton doesn't get the pinfall because Triple H and Shawn Michaels are arguing because that's some crazy thing going on. We see Shawn Michaels super kick Daniel Bryan out of anger or something like that because he took out Triple H. And then Randy Orton wins. We don't know why. I don't care why. I just want this to end. If you gotta send Daniel Bryan down to feud for the Intercontinental Championship against Seth Rollins, at this point, I'm not going to complain because I know at least there you're not going to get in the way of letting a guy go and just wrestle and tell a wrestling storyline. Not all this stuff about, oh, backstabbing friendship or friendship's stronger than this, or it's all about business. Oh man. Or really even find a way to try to use his pop to make you seem like a better heel. Because it's not working, it has not worked. But regardless, match got 4 stars out of 5. Second best match on the card, in my estimations, behind the first match of the card. So, starts off solid. Basically, this match was WWE in a nutshell. You have a bunch of guys at the bottom who don't like being there, so they're fighting for it. And then the people at the top are coasting. And that's 100% what it is. There's the main event booking was a coasting thing. Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton aren't coasting because they're not even the focus. Once again, we leave pay-per-view not talking about Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton. We're talking this time about Shawn Michaels and Triple H, and whether or not the super kick was Triple H's idea, or what. Why he took out Daniel Bryan. What about Randy Orton? What makes him such a great heel if he can't even do it? Like, if he loses basically twice and then wins this one by not even his finisher? Why am I invested in him as the face of the company? And why should I hate him? He seems like a victim of circumstance at this point, because he hasn't even gotten a real opportunity to prove himself, or a real opportunity to lose and come back and prove anything, because the first match was a dusty finish quick count. That wasn't that quick. The second one was double knockouts. And this one was another guy over 40 trying to coax his ego by having his buddy who's also over 40 lay out the guys who are going to be carrying the business in 5 years. But once again, it's not about the guys whose shirt we buy. It's about the guys who run the show, because they know best, and that's what's going to get you forward. This is the same thing that happened in WCW. I don't understand why they would talk so much crap about WCW and how they obviously could see how they beat them. And then when there's no competition in the wrestling world, no competition, do the same thing as if I'm not going to watch Monday Night Football tomorrow. As if I'm not going to watch baseball tomorrow. As if I really would ever, in my right mind, watch a wrestling pay-per-view over a solid, not even great, but a solid Sunday Night Football game. With my focus, I'd watch both because I'm technologically savvy, but if I had to choose, there's no way I'm going to choose just wrestling. Because why? It's not like that anything ever happens. It's just it's a storyline, right? They're trying to book these things long term, but everything just drags. I'll probably talk about this for a long time, so I'm just going to end this video here. Subscribe, because you like me more than you like most people on YouTube. And shout out, rest in peace, Smokey the cat. You will be missed. You were always my favorite person on the favorite animal person member. My favorite member of the Off the Rope show all time was Smokey. Smokey, rest in peace.